This is for section 7.2. In this section, we'll be multiplying polynomials. And I'm going to show you the distributive property first, and then I will show you a few other methods that we can use to multiply, and you can decide which one you like best. Using our new vocabulary, even though we've seen the distributive property before, this is a monomial that is being multiplied by a binomial. And this is the first time that you are going to see multiplying two x's together, at least in this class. And so when we multiply an x times an x, we use an exponent. So this will be 2x squared. And then we'll distribute to the 5. 2 times 5 is 10. And so that would be 10x. If you look at the second example, again with our new vocab, we have a binomial multiplied by a binomial. So this will be a little bit different with distributing because we'll need to distribute the x to both terms in the second parentheses. So that would be x times x is x squared. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. But then again in the first parentheses there's also the term 3, and we need to multiply that to the second parentheses. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. So we've just distributed the x to both terms in the second parentheses, and we distributed the 3 to both terms. If you look at our answer, we're not completely simplified. We can still combine those like terms with the two x's. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1x. You should simplify that at the very end if you can combine any like terms. And that's our final answer. For number 3, we'll do the same thing. This time we have a trinomial and a binomial. So we're going to multiply everything in the second parentheses by x squared. X squared times yet another x would be x to the third this time. X squared times negative 1 is negative 1x squared. You don't need the 1, but if you'd like to put it there, that's fine. And then we're going to multiply everything by 2x. So 2x times another x would be 2x squared. And 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x. And last, let's multiply the 3 times both terms in those second parentheses. So 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. So that's a lot of terms. Let's see if we can combine any. I see an x to the third, and it doesn't have a partner. And I see that we have a few x squareds. Let's see how many. Negative 1 plus 2 is positive 1 x squared. Again, you don't need the 1, but you can put it there if you want to. I see we have two terms with x's. Negative 2 plus 3 is positive 1x. Again, you don't need the 1. And then negative 3 doesn't have a partner. And so that's our final answer. We're all simplified. I gave you some checkpoints to try, so we'll go over those tomorrow in class. And then if you look a little further, I mentioned that there's two other ways that you can multiply. One of them is called the FOIL method, and the other one is the table method. So for FOIL, it actually is an acronym. It means first, outside, inside, and last. Some people say first, outer, inner, last, but it really doesn't matter. So by first, they mean the first terms. You're going to multiply the first terms in both binomials. So that would be x squared. By outside, they mean you're going to multiply the outside terms, the x and the negative 3, and that's negative 3x. By inside, you would multiply the 5 and x, the two inside terms, so that would be positive 5x. And then the last terms are the 5 and negative 3, and that's negative 15. And so it's just like distributing, but it's just a helpful reminder. It only works for binomials. And so that's why I like to show you other methods, because this is the only time you can use it, is if you're multiplying two binomials. I'm going to go ahead and add my like terms here. and that'll be my final answer. So that's the FOIL method. Again, it only works with binomials, but you can use it if you want to. First, outer, inner, last. And then number 2, you can also multiply with a table, kind of like making a multiplication chart. I'm going to draw a box, and I'll take my first binomial, x plus 6, and place the terms here. And then along the side, I'll place the second binomial, 2x, and negative 1. Notice how I brought the negative along with the 1. And it really doesn't matter which parentheses you put along top or the side. It really doesn't matter. I could switch those. But what I'm going to do is multiply. So 2x times another x would be 2x squared. 2x times 6 is 12x. Negative 1 times x is negative 1x. And negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. You can combine these terms. So my final answer is 2x squared plus 11x minus 6. And that doesn't just work for binomials. You could use monomials. You can multiply a binomial and a trinomial. It really doesn't matter. So if you do multiply by a trinomial, your box gets pretty big. But some people like that method as well. And that's it for the video. So the only checkpoints you have are right above our examples there, 1, 2, and 3. Thanks. Have a good day.